Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and in this week's video I actually have a very fun game for you. I am very excited to film this video because I feel like I had a very fun idea. And that was that I asked you on YouTube, but also on Instagram, to give me some topics or some spell ingredients as a challenge so that I have to create a spell with these things. That could be anything, basically anything that I could work into a spell. So for example, the color red, a rune, the moon, maybe the intention of gaining money. Like any topics like that that I can put into a spell. And I thought this game could be like very fun, because I got some pretty cool ideas, like some pretty cool spell ideas out of these topics. And there were just some topics that were kind of strange, and there were very unusual things in these topics that you submitted. So thank you, first of all. Very fun. It was just very fun for me also to just come up with the spells, and I thought it could be fun for you to just see what I come up with for your submissions. But also I thought it could be very interesting for beginners. I definitely know that when I started out as a witch, it was very challenging for me to create my first own spells, to not just take a spell from a book and cast that spell, but to kind of create and come up with my own ideas. So maybe this video will help some beginners come up with their own ideas, because I will actually also talk you through the way that I came up with the spells. Some will be pretty obvious, some are shorter, some are more elaborate. So I hope that this will be entertaining to you. Of course, if you want to play this game with me, then put your spell ideas in the comment section, because it will be very interesting for me to just read through all of your ideas. Because, well, everyone's different, so everyone's spell ideas are different, because everyone's practice is different. So please put your spell ideas in the comments. I am very interested to read them. Okay, but let us start out right away with the first spell. Vervain, like verbena, vervain, I hope that that's the right word, verbena, I don't know. Verbena or vervain, bay leaf, and it should be to gain knowledge or wisdom. At first I was like, oof, okay, vervain and bay leaf and wisdom, okay. So I kind of looked up what vervain and bay leaf can be used. And I came up with vervain. Like, vervain has so many different uses. You guys, wow. Vervain can be used, according to my sources, for love, protection, purification, peace, money, youth, sleep, and healing. And I knew personally from a workshop that I partook in that vervain was also used in the Viking Age, in pre-Christian Scandinavia. And that will be important later on, so keep that in mind. And then, of course, I also looked up what bay leaf can be used for. I mean, basically anyone knows that bay leaves in general can be used to make your wishes come true, because one of the easiest spells that you can cast is writing your spell intention or a wish on a bay leaf and burning that. That's well known, but still, I wanted to look it up. And apparently bay leaves can be used for protection, psychic powers, healing, purification, and strength. And bay leaves were very important to the ancient Greeks. And if you think of that, we have two herbs that were very important in ancient times. So I kind of thought, okay, so they can probably be used for ancestor work. I mean, bonus points if you have both ancestry from Scandinavia and Greece, then it would be perfect. But also if you don't, they're both herbs that have been used in ancient times for ages. So they will probably be very good to incorporate into some ancestor work or to do something with your ancestors. So I thought, okay, we have the topic of knowledge or wisdom and ancestors, like two herbs that can be used to work with your ancestors. So, well, gaining wisdom or knowledge from your ancestors, perfect. So I kind of had the topic. And then I actually came up with two very easy spells to use to gain some wisdom from your ancestors, to kind of channel some wisdom and knowledge from them. The first idea was to use them in a tea. Both vervain and bay leaves can be used as tea, And I thought, okay, maybe add some mugwort to that. Like mugwort for me personally is a very important herb for ancestral work. Personally, because mugwort also was a very, very important herb for Germanic tribes, but also in pre-Christian Scandinavia. So for me personally, mugwort is important if I want to do anything with my ancestors. So maybe brewing a tea out of bay leaves, vervain, and mugwort could be a very easy spell, and then maybe use this tea to connect to your ancestors. Maybe meditate afterwards, because well, mugwort is also like a tiny little bit psychoactive. So you could just drink it as a tea and then meditate maybe afterwards in front of your ancestor altar or something like that. Of course, I am not an herbalist, so this is just an idea. And I know for a fact that, for example, mugwort should not be used when you're pregnant. So of course, if you would consider that, go to a specialist, go to an herbalist, and make sure that you can not only drink tea safely from those 3 herbs, but also combined, because they can work differently when combined. So make sure that that's actually something you can do. I'm not an herbalist, so what I personally would do would be to go to an herbalist and let them check out that that's actually safe to do. But if you don't have that possibility, then maybe my second idea would be better. And that is to actually turn these 3 herbs into an incense blend. I personally know from experience that all these 3 herbs work great in incense blends. Like you can just either put them over a tea light and let them simmer a little bit, basically, or just put them directly on incense charcoal, and they actually smell very great. Like vervain doesn't smell like a lot, but both bay leaves and mugwort have a pretty earthy smell, and mugwort definitely is one of my favorite incense herbs. If you want to be safe, then just turn them into an incense blend. You can also add other herbs that maybe have more of a connection to your personal ancestry, like maybe add something that relates to your ancestors. Burn it as an incense, maybe at your ancestor altar, and meditate and tell your ancestors that you want to try to like channel knowledge and wisdom from them. So you see, this was a very, very easy spell idea, actually, but we will also get into more complicated ones. Next up is also a pretty easygoing one, because the topics that I got were dream magic, mugwort, and fire. So dream magic and mugwort for me were pretty obvious, because I mean mugwort is the herb for dream work, so that was pretty obvious. The only thing that I struggled with a little bit was fire, because what I would usually associate with dream magic and dream work is water as an element and the moon as a planet. So fire didn't really fit in there. But then I thought about, what can I do with fire? Like if I want to use fire in a spell, what do I usually do? And that would be actually either to burn as an incense. You're burning it, so there's fire involved. Or of course, that's an obvious one, to make a candle spell. And in my opinion, you can use a candle spell or incense for anything. It doesn't matter if it has to do anything with fire. So these were the 2 ideas that I had for these topics. Were very, very easy one. Just use mugwort to burn before bed. Like burn incense on charcoal or over a tea light, or even, I don't know if there's mugwort incense sticks or something, but probably burn these before bed with the intention to maybe get some messages in your sleep, or to just be open to visions, or to be open to get signs from deities or messages from your ancestors, or whatever your goal is for your dream work, and then go to bed. That will be a very, very easy one. Very, very easy. And turning this into a candle spell can be as easy as using a candle in an appropriate color. So if I would think about dream magic, then maybe it would be like a very dark purple, and then either sprinkling mugwort around it, or dressing the candle maybe in dreamwork oil, maybe in mugwort oil, or even just an olive oil or almond oil, or whatever oil you have around, basically dressing the candle in this oil and then maybe rolling it around in some mugwort so that some mugwort sticks to the candle, and then using that candle, if it's a big one, using it multiple times before bed, burning it with the intention of whatever you want to achieve with your dream work, burning it before bed with the intention, going to bed, going to sleep. So those 2 actually also were pretty easy to get up with. The next one is a little bit more complicated. And the topics that I got for the spell were the element water, frankincense, the waning moon, and oranges. I was kind of surprised by that. Like when I thought about the water element, frankincense, and the waning moon, I thought, okay, they can all be used for like cleansing or pushing something away, banishing, exorcisms, anything like that. But oranges? If I would think about cleansings and stuff like that, I would use lemons, but not oranges. Oranges I personally associate with success and luck and money magic, anything like that. I personally feel like it's a very, very sun and fire heavy plant, so that didn't really fit in with frankincense and the waning moon and the element water. So I thought, why not turn this into a two-part spell? Just imagine you are maybe having a very bad time at the moment. You feel like something's crossing you, like maybe you did something and that gave you a lot of bad luck, or maybe someone also jinxed you, also possible. I thought about why not do a very easy two-part reset spell, so that in the first part of the spell you are basically pushing away and cleansing yourself from everything that's clinging to you, everything that's crossing you, and everything that's blocking you and standing in your way. And then in the second part, use the orange, the association of the orange, to bring in good luck and success. As I said, this spell is a little bit more complicated. It's actually a 3-day spell. It starts on the last day of the waning moon with the part of pushing something away and getting rid of your blockages. And that is also where I wanted to incorporate the water element. So what you need for the spell is some kind of moving body of water, a river, a stream, something like that. Because what you do on the last day of the waning moon is that you take a piece of paper and you write down everything that's going wrong in your life, everything that's crossing you, everything that's blocking you, like everything that's going wrong, everything that you want to get rid of. You write that on the piece of paper and you fold this paper into a paper boat. You can of course also sprinkle like any herbs or something on there, and please make sure that that paper is a kind of paper that can be easily composted and that breaks down easily, because what you will now do is take this paper boat with all of these things on it that are blocking you or crossing you or not working for you, and you will put it into the stream or whatever body of moving water, with the intention that the water, like the stream, like basically that the spirit of the stream or the river is carrying all these things away from you. It's pretty easy actually. You will just sit there and see this paper boat floating away, and you will focus on all these things that were blocking you, crossing you, not working for you. You focus on all of these things being pulled out of your body while this paper boat is floating away on the stream or the river. Just focus on that so that it can be carried away. Then, on the day of the new moon, you take the frankincense to cleanse both yourself and probably your apartment, your house, everything that you feel like needs a cleanse. Because frankincense is like one of the easiest things that you can use as an incense for like cleansing and banishing. So use this frankincense, or frankincense incense I guess, but pure frankincense would be better, to cleanse yourself and your apartment, to get rid of everything that's still remaining that you maybe weren't aware of. And then you're pretty much good to go for the third day, which is the first day of the waxing moon, and that will be the day where we are pulling in the luck and the success using the orange. So what you will do, again, it's pretty easy. Take an orange, basically try to charge this orange with the energy of luck and success and everything, and eat it slowly. Do not watch TikTok or anything while doing that. Focus on this orange and focus on basically getting all this luck and the success into your body while you're eating it. But that's not everything. You will keep the peel. On the peel, you will write your intention, something like, I am successful, or I am lucky, or anything like that. Anything that corresponds with the energies of an orange that you want to bring into your life. You'll write that on the peel, and then you will put the orange peel, the fresh orange peel, on your heater, so that while the heater is heating the orange and all of the oils basically of this orange peel evaporates and your house starts smelling of orange. I bet you have done that around Christmas already, right? peeling an orange, putting it on a heater so that your whole house smells like orange. Just focus on the smell of orange, taking your intention and filling the universe with it. Like first starting to fill the room with it, then slowly filling your house with it. Like while the smell of the orange is slowly filling your house, and just focus on the intention that you wrote on the orange peel being also carried into the universe and filling your whole house. I feel like that's a pretty cool spell. I feel like I want to try that out. I actually also have a running body of water nearby, so I guess I will try that out at some point. I feel like that's a pretty cool spell. I'm kind of proud of that. Next up, we have again a more easy challenge, because the topics that I got were crystal, so I guess some crystal, cornflower, and psychic abilities. And that's pretty easy, to be honest, because cornflowers are like one of the associations of cornflowers are like enhancing your psychic abilities. And since I'm apparently allowed to use any crystal, I can just take any crystal that also corresponds with enhancing your psychic abilities. So that is pretty easy actually. So for this one, I actually came up with 3 spells because 2 of these are pretty boring. Like the easiest thing that you could do is make a small spell bag with cornflower and some crystals that correspond with enhancing your psychic abilities. So for example, I would use personally lodolite, amethyst, or moonstone. These 3 are just my personal favorites for a topic like that. And you can just use these and put them in a spell bag, maybe make a purple spell bag, and you could even incorporate stitching a sigil or a bind rune on the spell bag, incorporating other herbs or crystals that make sense for that spell, and making a spell bag. Basically that you can just carry around with you or put under your pillow while you're sleeping, maybe keeping it with your divination tools, wherever you feel like you want to enhance your psychic abilities, but I feel like that's kind of boring. Another very easy one would be to make an oil from the crystals and the cornflower and maybe other herbs that make sense for that spell, like for example mugwort or vervain, making an oil from that and then using that oil in whatever spell you want, like a candle spell for example. Pretty easy, but also pretty boring. So I thought, why not incorporate some knot magic? I feel like knot magic is kind of underrated. I feel like it's pretty fun, but it's not used that often. So I thought, why not use purple strings of some kind and then weave them or like make them into a necklace or a bracelet that you can wear whenever you want to enhance your psychic abilities. So for example, if you're going into meditation and you want to channel some knowledge from a deity or something while you're doing divination or something like that, and you feel like you want to kind of heighten your psychic abilities for that you can just put on the necklace or the bracelet. So what I thought would be pretty easy would be to get some beads from the crystal that you chose. Probably amethyst will be the easiest one. I haven't seen lodolite beads anywhere ever, but amethyst should be very, very accessible, and moonstone probably also, but it would be a little bit more expensive, so probably amethyst will be your best bet. And then to just take purple strings, amethyst beads, and actual cornflowers, like dried cornflowers, and then make a necklace or a bracelet from that using knot magic. You can incorporate either something like a mantra, like a charm that you repeat over and over and over. There are a lot of chants for knot magic that kind of rhyme with knot of 1, this and this, knot of 2, this and this, and then repeat it over and over for all the knots. But you can come up with whatever chant you feel like works and use that while you're making the necklace or the bracelet. I feel like that would be a very, very fun spell. Okay, we have 3 spells left. One of them is very, very autumnal, so let me start with that one. The topics were chestnuts, safe travel, and waxing moon. I feel like that's pretty easy. Like if you think of chestnuts, I think they're called horse chestnuts, the one that we have in Germany. They are very common. They're all around at the moment in fall, and they have these little thorns on the shells. Are they called the shells of the chestnuts? Whatever. The thing around the chestnut itself has like these little thorns. So of course that's very, very good for protection. So the first idea that I had was a very similar idea to the egg protection spell that I made, and I actually have a video on that. And that is to just incorporate something as a shell. And in that case it was the egg shell, but you can also use the shell of the chestnut and put other things like herbs or crystals or a little sigil or thorns or snail shells or whatever you think is protective, put that inside the shell, in our case the chestnut shell, and then put it together again and seal it. Either seal it with black wax, or you could bind it together, like bind it shut with black thread. That would also be a possibility, and then you could also incorporate knot magic. So in my case, what I would personally probably do would be to maybe, let's say, use pine needles, rosemary, mugwort, and some small amber crystals, black tourmaline and hematite, and some kind of sigil and eggshells or salt or something, and put them in the chestnut. Maybe on the inside, because the inside of a chestnut shell is white. You could also write a sigil or a bind rune. Then I would put that all in there with the intention that it should protect me, of course. Shut it. And then I would probably seal it both with black wax and bind it shut, simply because these shells are a little bit heavier. And if you want to carry it around while you're traveling, then it would make sense to bind it shut. And then maybe you can either just keep it somewhere in your, maybe when you're driving somewhere, keep it in your car, or hang it on your windshield or something. Or you can just keep it with you while you're traveling wherever. Just make sure that it doesn't break open, because that would suck. And the other idea that I had for these topics was to make a shaker jar with chestnuts. So you take a big glass, you could, for example, draw protective sigils or protective bind runes on these chestnuts, charge them with the intention that they should protect you while you're traveling, and then put them all in this jar, shut it, and then, for example, if you're going somewhere by car, you can just keep it in your car, and whenever you feel like you need some more protection, you can shake it with the intention that it should renew the energy, and with the vibration in the car, it will do that by itself. So if you're going somewhere by car, that is very easy and very, very effective. And of course, since we have the topic of the waxing moon, do all of that during a waxing moon, which also makes sense if you want to kind of draw in protection. Okay, the next one is probably my favorite because it's kinky. So we have the topics of a pink candle, peaches, and the algis rune, which I thought was such a fun combination. I hadn't even ever thought about using peaches in a spell. My thought process was actually to, again, think about all these things and their associations and correspondences. Pink candle, for me, of course, kind of love and friendship if it's a light pink candle. But if it's a very, very bright pink candle, like very saturated, then for me personally, that would be a perfect color for sex magic, either like a very, very, very saturated pink or red. Then peaches. And I personally don't really have any personal experience with peaches in spells, so I had to look it up. So peaches apparently can be used for love, wisdom, and fertility. And then I thought, like, okay, peaches look like a butt, so I guess you can also use them for sex magic, probably. And then lastly, algis, of course, is like the protection rune. And these three things together kind of made me think about a very juicy, like a peach, a very juicy, kinky sex magic spell to kind of bring some passion into your sex life in a safe way, because especially if you're getting into kinky stuff and you're doing it with the wrong person, it can be a little bit risky. But if you want to do it in a very protective and safe way, then there is where the algis rune comes in. So this is what I thought about. You take the peach, you cut it in half so that the butt portion of the peach is still intact. You need the butt half of the peach. Then you take some sugar and cloves and pepper, like in general, like sugar, and then herbs that are kind of spicy and hot, and sprinkle them on the peach, like the juicy side of the peach, so that it sticks. Then you use a candle, a very special candle, because there are actually candles that are specifically used in wax play, like in kinky wax play, and you use one of those candles because, well, while yes, you could use a normal candle, if you want it to be a very juicy passion and sex spell, then why not use a wax play candle? How fun is that? So you take this candle, You carve the Algis rune into it, that is where the protection part comes in, and then you anoint it with massage oil, because why use normal oil when you can use massage oil, which will be much more kinky. And bonus points if that massage oil also smells like roses or something like that. And then the only thing left to do is to take your peach butt, your spicy, juicy peach butt, and you put a little hole in it and you stick the candle into it so that the peach is basically the candle holder, and then you can burn out the candle. If it's a pretty big candle, you can again burn it whenever you feel like you want to have some sexy time and you need some passion. And if it's just a small candle, you can burn it in one sitting, but there's no need to do that. You can just use it whenever you need some spice and some passion. I'm actually pretty happy about how that spell turned out. It's kind of out of the box for me personally. I've never cast a spell like that, but now I kind of want to because it sounds fun. And then lastly, we have the spell with the most topics actually. The topics that I got were purple, the color purple, chamomile, a wand, a broom, and a sigil. Interesting. So, purple I personally associate a lot with spirituality and psychic abilities, dream work, everything like that. Also like altered states of consciousness, trance work, stuff like that. Then we have chamomile, which is more like calming. It's good to use against anxiety, but also for success and prosperity spells. Then of course we have the wand, which can be used to direct energy. It personally I associate it with the fire element, although there are a lot of people who associate it with the air element, but personally for me it's fire. And it can be used to awaken objects. So for example, if you have a candle or a spell bottle or something like that, you can use the wand and tap it on the object 3 or 5 or 7 times, or whatever you feel like is a magical number, to awaken that object. And it can also be used to call in entities. Then a broom, of course, it's like the tool for cleansing. And then sigils can be used for basically anything. I think the biggest challenge that I had with this was, how do I incorporate both a purple candle and chamomile? So I thought, why not use the association of psychic abilities and enhancing your psychic abilities and like spiritual things of the purple candle with the success and luck association of chamomile and put those together. So I thought, okay, combined, what can we come up with? Of course, to kind of draw in luck and success in spiritual endeavors. And I decided, why not create a candle spell from those topics? So what you will do for the spell is you take a purple candle, that's where the color comes in, then you take the broom to cleanse the candle. So you would take the candle and then you would take the broom, probably a small broom would be easier, and sweep away all the negative energies or all the energies in this candle that would kind of block your spell. So take this broom and make sure to brush away from you, because you want to get rid, you want to push away everything that you don't want. So you do that to cleanse the candle, and after you have cleansed this candle, you will carve a sigil, especially for this purpose, on the candle. Pretty easy. And then you will anoint the candle either with chamomile oil or sprinkle it around the candle, that also works. Or of course, as I also already said, dress the candle in oil and then sprinkle the chamomile on top of it. And of course, you can also incorporate other herbs that have associations with success and luck, but also with spiritual endeavors, psychic abilities, stuff like that. So maybe in my case, I would probably use chamomile, but then also orange peel and mugwort. And then lastly, that is where the wand comes in. You would take the wand and tap with the wand on the candle 3 times, 5, 7, 9, whatever number is a magical number to you. You would tap your wand on the candle for this amount of times to awaken the candle. And then you will burn it. So this is also a pretty classic candle spell. I feel like this is pretty classic, although most people will usually use smoke to cleanse a candle. But why not use a broom? You can also use broom to cleanse the candle. And yeah, those were all the spells that I came up with. Please don't be mad if I didn't choose your submission. I just simply couldn't incorporate all of them in a video because the video would have been ages long. If you like this video, please tell me in the comments, because for me it was extremely fun to come up with these spells. And if you like the video, then maybe I will make another one of these videos, and then you can submit your ideas again, and then maybe I will incorporate them that time. It was definitely very, very fun for me. Very, very fun. So I would be really happy to make another one of these videos, but I will see how you like them. If you like them, tell me in the comments. And as I said, also tell me your spell ideas in the comments, because I'm very interested in reading them. Before we close this video though, Patron shout out. Thank you very, very, very much to Victoria, Alexander, Laura, Amber, Kristen, John, Ivy, Phoenix, Anton, Noemi, Jenny, Tyler, Els, Betty, Misty, Cameron, Tiffany, Amy, Colette, Soren, Tel, Timothy, Coffee, or the honorary gossip squirrel, Bjorn, Scylla, Ash, Lucy, and Joss. Thank you so, so much. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And of course, check out my other socials like Instagram and TikTok, or also my online shop, which I will launch my proper standalone shop soon. Very excited. And maybe you even want to support my channel. Then you can check out my Patreon. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!